We are here today with Kelly Hunt. The new album is Ozark Symphony, and you just heard the title track. Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good, especially hearing that album.
Oh,
Explain Ozark Symphony to me because it almost feels like you have two still living people haunting a place, and it is hauntingly beautiful.
thank you. Um, yeah, I guess it is kind of rooted in the places that have sort of meant the most to me through my life. And Ozark Symphony, that kind of came to be the title track because it seemed to, um, this whole record seemed to be kind of about journey and getting in the sort of in between spaces. And the Ozarks have always been, I've never lived squarely in them, but they've always been sort of my the place I've passed through to get from one destination to the next. And I grew up in Memphis. I ended up in Kansas City for 8 years, and you pass right through the Arkansas Ozarks and then the Missouri Ozarks on that drive that I made many times. And um, so, yeah, it just kind of also seemed to embody a little bit my style, like which is I grew up with a lot of classical influences and um, but also deeply rooted in the folk tradition. And so Ozark Symphony seemed to kind of embody that in a phrase. Um, yeah, it's an album of sort of journeying through relationships and rites of passage and sort of different moves that I've made in my adult life. And so it's a very personal one for me, this record. I guess they all kind of are, but
So a part of you will never leave this place in response to the person you're pining for. And on your behalf, you're leaving words behind in the form of wind and birds and hills. Um, Tell me about how it feels to have a longing deep enough to quite literally let the world know so that it can pass the message on.
yeah, I think I am kind of a creature of longing. I think just by nature, I guess we all are to a degree, but that's always been a very nostalgic kind of person. And there is something about, I think even moving away from uh, home. Like I grew up in Memphis. I lived here till I was 18, and I've not moved back and sort of have this sense of I don't want to move back here because I actually like missing it and then coming back to it and feeling that homecoming. I think that's the kind of person I am. I kind of like that tension between going and coming back. And um, so I think I probably longing is a big theme in my first record. It's a big theme in this record. And I think it fits that theme of journey because you're kind of in search of something, and that there's always this sort of restlessness of trying to find, um, trying to in search of something. So yeah, it's I guess that song and that particular part of it that you quoted is yeah about trying to make peace with being a restless person, trying to kind of find some sort of centering or groundedness within that nagging kind of feeling of loss or longing, or I don't know, trying to find a place in that will let you find rest. I don't know. It's interesting.
It is interesting. Like I said, it almost feels like somewhere in the restlessness, you wind up haunting home.
Mm, sure. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
What is it like being someone who expresses these deep emotions for a living?
Mm, it's a good question. Oh, it's a mixed bag, I guess. In one way, I feel very privileged to, that's um, ingredient to my work because I was talking to someone the other day about, I can't imagine if I didn't have that sort of creative nature to where I could make use of life in that way and of my experiences and of difficult emotions, like being able to channel them into writing a song. It's such a therapeutic thing. It's such a feels like a constructive, use of something that is painful or hard. And so if I didn't have that, I don't know, I don't know what I'd do without that. But also, I think it's a privilege to be able to kind of enter people's lives that way and um, maybe help them navigate these emotions that we all share as human beings. Our circumstances are maybe different, but that same sort of root elemental emotion is the same. So it's really kind of amazing to me that I get to connect with people through my own experiences, in such a deep way. I think also sometimes it is, it's like you kind of, part of the cost of the job is that you do have to kind of tap back into those emotional places that are sometimes painful. You have to kind of keep the wound open to a degree by kind of re-entering it and singing that and being present to it. Like you do have to kind of go to some painful places over and over again. So it's interesting, but I think on the whole it's something that I've always been very an emotional creature and kind of like occupying that space. So it's natural to me.
And it comes naturally to you to share your own experiences. You're not out there telling fictional stories.
Yeah, some of them are are stories that aren't mine, but that I kind of um it passes through the filter of me and my personality and my ability to empathize, but it's not necessarily my story, but a lot of times it is rooted in my own story. And I feel like that's kind of there's a line on a song and on the song called Everybody Knows on this record, that's what story can I tell if not my own. Like I kind of feel like I have to at least tell my own story, and then maybe I earn some right to kind of try to tell someone else's story too. But if I can't tell my own story, then I don't feel like I deserve to tell anybody else's.
That is an interesting way to put it. We're going to be right back with Kelly Hunt.